Okay, so I'm back from the range. Today's Friday and pardon me, I'll probably go back Monday once I've done a little alteration to this fine little rifle. But as per protocol, first up I'm having, because it is actually really humid. It rained last night and it sort of was really overcast. Actually at the range, when I was there, because I was there first thing in the morning when it opened, it was just full overcast, and so vision wasn't that crash hot. Hopefully when I go back Monday with more of the particular ammunition that I'm talking about, that I'll be talking about, and I've altered the front sight as best I can, hopefully it'll be sunny and vision will be a lot better, because when it's really overcast and looking through that iPal and at the iron sight, it's not that crash hot. But anyway, pardon me, I'm drinking Korudo, K-O-R-U-D-O, Premium Dry Lager, Japan. Korudo Premium Dry Lager, inspired by the sunsets over Nago Bay, Japan's Okinawa prefecture. So it's Okinawan beer again. Korudo Premium Dry Lager is a masterclass in the subtle art of balance between rare hops, go away flies, aroma, pleasant bitterness, and a refreshing dry finish. So this is another Okinawan beer. There you go. I don't know what's going on. This particular, well, Dan Murphy's, they're getting all this Okinawan beer. Korudo! Ho! See, I can speak Japanese. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a demonstration. Oi! Yeah, sorry. Sorry all the Japanese people out there. I do love everything Japanese. Japanese food, Japanese people, Japanese culture, Japanese beer, Okinawan beer. So let's have a taste of this one. Okay, that's different. That's quite bitter, actually. It's more like pale ale. Yeah, it's quite dark for what they reckon is a lager, pilsner. That could quite easily get passed off as a pale ale. But first of all, this is what we're talking about. Spanish Cavalry Carbine. That's bent. That front side's bent. Rear side is bent. Spanish Cavalry Carbine Modelo 1895. Now, I've got some documentation on this fine rifle. So from, what site is this? Firearms.net.au. So, don't know who they are. Spanish 1895 Cavalry Carbine. So the one that they've got is caliber 7x57 Mauser, which is originally what these rifles were chambered in. I'll move him away. Yeah. This one is not. This one is chambered in 308. Go away, flies. Man, they're irritating today. So the one in the picture was made by Ludwig Löwe and Company in Berlin in 1896-97. Oh, so they were made by Ludwig Löwe or by Fábrica Nacional de Armas in Oviedo. It's spelt Oviedo, but Spaniards pronounce the V as a B. In 1896, between 1896 and 1915. So, adopted on the 7th of May 1895, this was simply a shortened model 1893, stocked to the muzzle with a small rear sight and the bolt handle turned down. A change was made in 1896 to the barrel band, which gained us, so mine is at least in 1896. Mine is in 1896 because it has the barrel band with the sling swivel. Addition to the bar assembly beneath the wrist, a half deep cut in the left side of the receiver was added to facilitate charger loading. Yes, I have got that, the cutout for the charger loading. So this is an 1896. This was the improved model. which would mean that it could be a Ludwig Löwe, or it could be an Oviedo. I have no way of telling, because let's see, I'll get to that in a second. Let's see, so this is Mauser Model. So it's essentially Mauser Model 1893. Okay, so 1893 was developed in several variants, including a shortened carbine adopted by the Spanish as the Model 1895 and as the Model 1913 and 1916 short rifles. All versions of the rifle saw extensive service in the Spanish Army, beginning in the Spanish-American War in 1898, the Rif War, the Spanish Civil War, blah 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 blah. Okay, many of these later rifles were converted to shoot either 7.92 by 57 Mauser, 8mm Mauser, or 7.62 by 51 NATO. Yes, and this is what that is. It was the one converted to 7.62 NATO. Now let's see if they have an example of variants. 1895 carbine. Here we go. Go away, flies! Man, they're... The Spanish Army adopted the Model 1895 carbine on 7th May 1895. The rifle was essentially a shortened 1893 with a full-length stock that ran to the muzzle. Though the carbine bears the 1895 designation, it did not include the improvements made in the 1895 and essentially just a shortened 1893. It received the 1895 designation as the Spanish Army did not approve the carbine for service until that year. Ludwig Löwe manufactured around 22,500 of the 1895s between 1896 and 1897 before licensing production to Fábrica de Armas in Oviedo, which built an unknown number of rifles between 1898 and 1915, which sort of contradicts what that other thing said. Alright, the carbine had an overall blah 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 blah. Okay. Yeah. Unlike on the longer rifles, the upper barrel band did not include a bayonet lug. Correct? Yeah, that's pretty much all the information that I have on this little rifle. The reason, so we'll get to the reason why I can't tell what this rifle is because when they refurbished these and rebarreled them to 7.62 NATO, they actually for whatever reason, I don't know why, they ground off all the information that's on that front band. So there would have been a crest there, whether it would have been Ludwig Löwe with a lion, because Löwe in Germany is lion. It would have been a Ludwig Löwe crest, or it would have been, no, it probably was a Spanish crest. But it would have had details about where it was made, Ludwig Löwe, Oviedo, whatever. There's nothing there. All I've got is a serial number and Cal 7.62, and what's on this side? Just another serial number. Now I have actually taken this completely apart, like stripped it completely, just to find out how bad the split in the stock was. Because these things do have a tendency for the stock to split, and this one has, and someone has done a pretty shit attempt at fixing it. It didn't fix the bottom split, which is about a millimetre wide. So I've stripped this completely apart and can tell you right now that all the numbers match, the bolt matches, so it's got matching numbers, but I have no identification marks as regards to the manufacturer. There's nothing. So I don't know whether it was a Ludwig Löwe or it was an Oviedo. I don't think it really matters because it was the same machinery. The machinery, I think they got off Ludwig Löwe anyway. But what can I say about it? It's so it's got your typical, it's supposed to, the empty magazine cut off, yeah, and the followers forward. This follower, which is a machined piece of steel, it's I've got to work in the spring so that it gets trapped in one spot, and it just moves forward and back constantly, which it doesn't affect loading in any way or feeding or anything. It's so because it's a cock on close. It's a cock on close, whereas the M98 is a cock on open. Cock on close is a lot like just like the Lee Enfield, which is a cock on close. When you just bang, you know, you don't even have to pull it. Yeah, that's what cock on closes do. And yeah, so it's quite different from the 98, working in 98. Let's see, what can I say about it? It's a surprisingly, so what happened was that so when was it adopted, when was it changed to 7.1680? 1951. Alright, so about early 50s. What happens after the Second World War is that there's a bunch of arms engineers go from Germany and they go to Spain, and they set up, my understanding is that they set up a company called CETME, C-E-T-M-E, and they designed the CETME rifle, which later became the Heckler & Koch G3. Maybe not an exact example of the CETME, but very much almost an exact copy or derivative of the CETME. So the Heckler & Koch G3, which later became the standard rifle of the German military in 7.62 by 51 NATO, the design originated in Spain as the CETME. So when Spain adopted the 7.62 NATO cartridge in their CETME rifles, what they decided, very much like what Israel did, they decided to standardise whatever they had in their inventory, Mauser rifles they had in their inventory, they only had Mausers, I believe, to 7.16 NATO. So all of these rifles were rebarreled to 7.62 NATO. Well, not all. There are still examples of 7x57 carbines and long rifles, mostly carbines, I think. But that's what this is. This is a 308, 7.62 NATO 308 rifle. When I first got it, I had a serious problem with the trigger. I don't know what was going on. It's taken a little while for it to sort itself out, but what was going on was that I would cycle it and I would be pulling the trigger, and it's quite a heavy trigger pull, and it would quite literally be like crunch, 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 and sometimes it'd just get stuck and it wouldn't fire. The firing pin wouldn't fire. Whereas now it's sort of a two-stage, and then bang. It's pretty much sorted itself out. I don't know what the problem was. I don't know if you can see, but when I'm pressing that trigger, the whole bolt, in particular the cocking piece, is getting pushed down. I don't know what's going on there. So what's happening, it's turned in from just an abomination to essentially a two-stage Mauser trigger. And you take it up, and I know that's going to break there. So it's quite literally gone from being an abortion to pretty much a bit spongy, a two-stage Mauser trigger, quite heavy. So I will measure it. And you're going to say, oh, you shouldn't be dry firing it. Oh man, this thing's older than Methuselah. So I'm sure it's been through much worse treatment. Anyway, some more corridor. That's pale ale. It's got that real full-on IPA bitterness. So, ready. let's have a look what the weight of the trigger is. You get that take up and then, oh, wow, 9 pounds, 11.5 ounces. Yeah. Alright, clear, ready. £9, 3.5 ounces. Yeah, it's heavy. But you get used to it. Clear. Ready. £9, 4 ounces. So, yeah, about £9, between £9, 4 and £9, 12 ounces. What do you do about that? Well, it's not a whole lot you can do. What I'll do is when I strip it again, because I've got to try and fix this stock. I mean, that's, yeah, that split is, and it's split inside where there's very little meat in the, where the action sits. But it's not, you know, it's not coming apart in my face, and it's, the accuracy is actually quite good, and I'll show you that in a second. So that should be good. Yeah. So it's a beautiful little gun. I bought it, number one, because it was in 308, and it was actually reasonably priced as far as Mauser rifles go. I got it at Cleaver Firearms online. Bought it. It was it $6.95 plus $49 delivery, and I thought, wow, that's really reasonable price. And it said excellent bore, and it is an excellent bore. What they didn't tell me was that it had this weird ass trigger issue, and also the stock is split. The split stock is not unusual at all. Someone's had a really bad go at fixing it, so I'll have to have a look at what's going on there. So, I mean, they would have got it in, and they would have cocked it, pulled the trigger, and had that really weird ass issue, and they would have gone, oh yeah, we'll sell that for bugger all. Well, that weird ass issue has gone away with the trigger, so I got a bargain, because there are Kar 98s, 8mm Mauser Kar 98s. There's one there for 5,200. They've got on their website. I don't know if it's still there. Someone might have bought it. There was ones there for 5,600, matching numbers, you know, and people bought them. It's just, and that, I mean, a Kar 98 is probably the most common Mauser, military Mauser that you can get, and yet they're the most expensive. I mean, this would have to be one of the rarest Mausers you can get, the Spanish Cavalry Carbine, and admittedly the 7.7x57 Mauser Cavalry Carbine would be very rare, but it's 308, which is better anyway, because I know 308's a really, really accurate, capable cartridge. So anyway, I'll have some more Gorudo. Hey, dozo. Domo. Okay, so what I did was, I went and shot this just with normal factory ammo, and the thing's shooting way high, and with full factory loads, I mean, this thing is like with the Buffalo River, this thing is just a punisher. It really is. It's really light, and because the barrel is so short, oh man, it's, you know, with that steel butt plate, it is a punisher. And I said, and it's shooting like a foot high. So what I've done is I went and made three of the 150 grain Sierra Game Kings, flies, and I went, because I made some loads with, I think, 40 grains with that projectile, and still shooting way high. So I went really low, and people say, oh, you shouldn't go too rubbish. I went 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, so 3 of each of those. So I started with the higher grain. And so this is 32. So they're all 3-shot groups. So this is 32. The other one was just off the page. What is that? Yeah. The other one was just off the page. Yeah, there it is there. So that was, these 2 pages were together like that. So I was looking at that and I was going, oh man, that's a shit group. Not very good. So that's 3-shot group 32, not very good. What was it? It was about, oh man, it was like almost 3 inches, close to 3 inches. Then 32 grains, this is AR2208 Varget, so it's a 150 grain Sierra Game King, ADI brass, 200 large rifle primer CCI, and 32 grains of Varget, almost a 3-inch group. 31 grains of AR2208 Varget produced 1.5 inches. So yeah, that was a big improvement. So then I went to let's see, I went to 30 grains. So 32, 31, 30 grains. 30 grains got a little bit bigger. And obviously, so with the 32 I was aiming there and it shot up there. With the 31 I was aiming there and it shot up there. With the 30 I was aiming at the base of the circle, and this went a little bit bigger, but it's sort of hard to tell. 2.2. It's sort of hard to tell because it was so overcast. It was sort of, yeah, it was not easy to tell what was going on at all. Then I went to 29 grains of AR2208 Varget, and that is a group of 0.8. So 29 grains of Varget. Then I had the 28 grains of Varget, and that went out to 8.5. A 0.85. So 29 and 28 looking pretty good. Then I went to 27. 27 and 26 did sort of this weird, 2 that were pretty much touching, and the 3rd was a high flyer. A little bit weird. Like the 2 that are touching are quite literally like 0.2 of it. But it threw the other one out to like 1.2, 1.3, and 26 pretty much same, 1.3. So considering all that, there's nothing on that target. Considering all that, I think I'm going to go with 20. You know what? I'm going to go with maybe 28.5 grains. But 29 grains, yeah, that's good. There's a big difference between the 30 grains. What's the 30 grains? The 30 grains and the 29.5 and the 29 grains. So I'm gonna go 28.5 grains. Yeah, I'm gonna go 28.5 grains of Varget. Where's my pen? I don't want to write that down. Doesn't matter. I remember it. So I'm going to go 28.5 grains. I'm going to make a heap of hand loads at 28.5 grains. The other thing that I'm going to do to battle how high it's shooting, because they're 1-inch groups. They're 1-inch squares, and it's going. There I say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4. Okay. 5. Whereas 28, it's, how high is that shooting? That is shooting 6 inches high, is it? Pretty much. With the 28 grains, it's, and that's less. 29 is less. That's weird. Looking at about 5.5 inches. With 29.5, with 28.5 grains, I'm going to be shooting about 5 to 5.5 inches high. What I've got to do is I've got to add some metal to that front post. And it's a pretty weird front post, sort of twisted. So it is shooting to the right. What I'm going to do, because I've got that drifting tool, I'll drift that side over. Now to do that I have to actually take the action out of the stock, because this bullnose nose cap, the wood actually extends all the way, so you can't get this on. So I've got to disassemble it, essentially, take it out of the buttstock and drift it over a bit. Yeah, not a lot, not a whole lot, but in fact, yeah, it does have to be drifted over a bit. So I'll drift it over a bit, and while I'm doing that, I will actually somehow, with solder, maybe, I don't know, something on the top of that sight. I don't know. What I'll do is, I'll with that 28.5 grain load, I'll take it out to 100 meters and see what the drop is, because that's quite a light load. But you know, that sort of mucking around, this rifle deserves it, because that sort of group, you know, 0.8 of an inch at 50 meters with this, you know, with what it is. I mean, it's a 16-inch barrel. Okay, it's a really short ass thing. It's a 16-inch barrel, but I've really fallen in love with it. It's a real sweetie, just like that Israeli Mauser. So I've named the Israeli Mauser Rivka, good Hebrew name, or Yiddish name, I suppose, because it deserves a name. It's such a nice rifle. Switch you off. So I'll name this one. I don't know. I'm not going to name it Maria, because that's just too common. What's a beautiful Spanish name? Let's see. What's a beautiful Spanish name? Yeah, I'll have to think of one. A Spanish girl's name. It's got to be a girl. It's got to be a woman. Hey. Yeah. Yeah. I'll think of one. And then I'll name her, because she deserves it. It's a beautiful little gun. It's got side sling. One of the nice things like that, the Germans with the Kar-98, they realised you got to have a side mount for your sling, and the Spanish have done the same. Very smart of them, you know, very, very smart of them. So like I said, I've had this completely apart, completely disassembled, and yeah, I sort of figured out what was going on with it. Yeah, that might be loose. Is that loose? It can't be loose. No. Yeah, because this thing is split, there is a bit of movement there. Like, I can actually squash that. That's moving. But when you've got groups like that at 50 meters with the iron sights, and you have a look at the sight radius, I mean, that is quite literally, I'm gonna tape measure here. That is quite, you're talking about, I don't know, well, it's 16-inch barrel, so that's about 3 inches, so you're looking about a 13-inch you're looking about a 13-inch sight radius, probably 14. Yeah, 14-inch sight radius. Man, that's not much at all. And yet, you know, you can achieve a group like that. You got to love that. That's beautiful. That's 29 grains of AR-2208. That's 28. So I'm going to go 28.5, I think. Yeah. So, got to be busy making some more ammo for this. Oh, it's not doing it now. There you go. Spring loaded action. Whoa, there she goes back. This is a gorgeous little gun. It really is. Yeah, so once I've made that ammo up, gone to the range in a couple of days, in 3 days actually, and I'll do a heap more groups, take it out to 100 metres, see what the drop is like, and I'll drift that side over, and I'll report back to you. If you can get one of these things, like this, it was a real surprise to see it pop up on Cleavers, and it's just out of nowhere, it just popped up. If you have a chance to get one of these, and Practical Not Tactical's got one of these as well, so I don't know whether he thinks I'm copying him. He's got the Israeli Mauser, I've got the Israeli Mauser. He's got this cavalry carbine, I got this cavalry carbine. I'm not copying you. This was just available and it was a really good price, so I got it. Yeah, and the Israeli Mauser I got off Rick. Actually, I just gave Rick a deposit for another Martini Enfield, so yeah. It's a bit of a sporterised thing, so I've got it, yeah. He's not asking much for it, so I decided to buy it off him. But anyway, that's for a later date. But if you've got a chance to get one of these Spanish cavalry carbines, just, this is going to be excellent to carry around, shoot pigs with. Seriously, it's going to be so much fun. So, I'm really happy with the results, and until next time, see you later.